All right, I'm here with Alicia Meyer, the Director of Undergrad Admissions at Grace College.
Mhm.
Alicia, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So just start off with Grace. Just kind of share
Mhm.
a little bit about Grace, where it is, how many students, and why a student should think about attending Grace.
Yes, Grace College is located on a beautiful lakeside campus in Winona Lake, Indiana. Our students can easily walk down to the lake and appreciate everything that comes with it, whether it's riding the Grace boat or paddleboarding and kayaking, and all of the nature that comes with living right next to a lake. Grace has about 1,300 traditional undergraduate students, and about 800 of those students live on campus, and we are primarily a residential institution. Something pretty distinct about Grace is we are a liberal arts at school, but we are also faith-based. And so faith is integrated into everything we do at Grace, whether it's chapel or our classes. Now, every degree at Grace, with just a few exceptions, can be completed in 3 years because we know college is expensive and it can be terrifying to think about paying for that. And so we make it possible for all of our students to complete their degrees in 3 years, with the exception of engineering and nursing. Now, maybe you're thinking, I want to be in college a little bit longer. We get that. It can be fun. College is a long, fun time for some people. So if you want to choose to stick around for that 4th year, you can actually complete your master's degree and your bachelor's degree in 4 years at Grace, and you never have to pay extra for that master's degree. So it's all included in your undergraduate financial aid and your undergraduate tuition, and you get to stay for the full 4 years. That's especially great for athletes who have 4 years of eligibility. You can leave with your master's, but less student debt. So we are a faith-based institution. We love living life really close to the lake, and we understand that we want to be efficient with your college time, and we'll get you through in 3 or 4 years with that master's degree to really get you a value-based education.
Get you in and out there quick. You can't beat that.
Exactly.
The cost of college. Now, real quick, you said with athletes, what division are you guys?
Yes, so we are an NAIA institution. So there are athletics-based scholarships for all of our varsity teams. We also have pretty robust offerings for JV and club. So if you just really enjoy being part of athletics and you'd like to be part of a team and still compete in college, but maybe not at that varsity level, that can be pretty intense, there is probably a JV or a club team that would be a good fit for those students.
Okay, very cool.
Mhm.
Now, what does Grace look for in potential students, and kind of, I guess, what are some of the requirements to be accepted there?
Mhm. So, an ideal Grace student is someone who is eager to be living in an intentional community. We think our Christ centered community is the thing that sets us apart and makes us really special. So, we want students who are eager to come and be in relationship with their professors. Their professors will get to know them as individuals, and they'll have a great one on one relationship with their academic advisor, but also with their peers. They get to learn in what we call growth groups, which are like small groups that happen on the hall each week as we journey through a book of the Bible together. So the ideal Grace student is one who wants to be connected to community and to grow in their faith. In terms of the nitty gritty of requirements for getting in, we are a test optional institution, and you only need to self-report your GPA as part of our free 5-minute application. So you can just put in what your high school GPA is, and you never have to take a test. Similar to the 3 to 4 year requirement, the exception is engineering and nursing. But for the most part, just self-report your GPA on that free 5-minute application.
5-minute application. So tell
Mhm.
me a little bit more about that.
Yes. So if you just go to www.grace.edu/apply, you can complete our application in less than 5 minutes. I just filled it out again last week, and it only took me 4 minutes. So it's pretty simple. You're going to provide some basic demographic information, tell us where you're going to high school, what your GPA is, and you're going to read our community and lifestyle agreement, which is the code of conduct our students are expected to abide by. And you would read that before you even apply to make sure that you know what you're getting into at Grace College. It's going to be a little bit different than some of your public or other private institutions. And yeah, in less than 5 minutes, just by putting that basic demographic information, some of your high school information in, that is what we would need to make the admissions decision.
All right. Now, is there, as far as like grade point average or anything like that, is there something that you look for specifically?
We do not have minimum GPA requirements. We like to look at the student holistically as part of our admissions process. And so if we have any questions about a student's GPA, it wouldn't be an outright rejection or anything like that. We'd reach out and see what other circumstances have been involved in that student situation.
Okay. Okay. So
Mhm.
you mentioned engineering and you mentioned nursing. Now,
Mhm.
I'm betting for those schools, there are some GPA requirements or at least some different requirements. what are some of the requirements to get into engineering and nursing? And what are some of the other schools that you offer? And are there any different requirements for those as well? And maybe some schools that you're like, hey, this is a great school. It needs to be highlighted.
Yeah, yes, great. So you're right. Engineering and nursing do have a few different requirements for admission. And essentially, people would apply to Grace College and they would mark that that is their academic interest. And then we would get some additional information from them. So the engineering program and the nursing program definitely both have several standard minimum test scores. So you do have to take your ACT or your SAT. Now, you can be admitted to Grace College with the intention of going into the nursing program or the engineering program without those test scores. And you can be admitted into Grace and later be admitted into those programs. So even throughout your senior year, you can take that ACT, you can take that SAT a couple of times, even if needed, to get those scores before you'd actually come to Grace in August. And you can even take those tests all the way through the first semester of your year at Grace to be entered into those programs. And so if a student is interested, they will receive communication from the chair of those departments about the specific numbers required for ACT and SAT, but those are the only programs that require those tests. And part of that is because we want to make sure that those programs stay really strong. Our engineering program was just ABET accredited, which means that Grace students, even though you're coming from a smaller institution, if you are applying for an engineering job and say, I come from an ABET accredited program, they will say, oh, perfect. We know it is a quality education. And the same for nursing. We had a 100% NCLEX pass rate this summer for our nursing students. So it is a little bit harder to get into those programs, but that's because we want to make sure that our graduates are equipped to be excellent nurses and excellent engineers.
Right.
In addition to those programs, we also have a very large business program, especially our accounting. We have a fantastic professor, Dr. Roger Stichter, who leads that, and our students consistently get jobs at large firms and pass their CPA on the first try, which is something that we love celebrating. And in addition, our education department is really well respected across the state of Indiana. Last year, we had the top performing special education student, student teacher in Indiana. And so our education department is one we are very proud of and we love to highlight. And our professors are some of the most kind professors that really want to help empower students to go out and be teachers who care for their students in their classroom.
Yeah, so I want to make sure I got this right. Mm-hmm. So for the engineering and the nursing, students are able to get into those schools as freshmen, or they can get into them later. So even if they don't get into them as freshmen, they can still get into it later.
Correct. Yes. So you can come in and be declared as a pre-nursing major, and then maybe we have a few students taking the SAT or the ACT here in September or October to get that last score up, and they will be officially admitted into the nursing program either in January or at the beginning of their second year, but they are still on track to graduate in 4 years. Okay.
And then lastly, the cost, because that's everyone now. We need to know the cost, what the cost is. What's the cost to attend Grace? Yep. What kind of financial aid is there offered and that students can look at, whether that's scholarships, grants, anything like that?
Yes, we know that the cost of college can be daunting, a little bit anxiety inducing. So at Grace, we are committed to making it an affordable education that really matters to us. So at Grace, tuition runs at about $28,000 per year, and room and board for our residential students is another $10,000 per year. But we try to make sure that we are very upfront with all of your costs, that we're not sneaking in a bunch of fees on top of that can be really annoying. And so some of the ways that we do that is that you actually pay $250 at Grace for your books for the entire year, and then they just show up at your door. You never have to go checking Chegg or Amazon or the bookstore and trying to find and make sure, do I have the right edition of this book? You just pay a flat fee of $250 and all of your books are provided for you for the entire year. And so that's another one of those ways we try to make our education really value-based and a good investment in your future. In addition, that tuition, room, and board includes what we call our Village Flex. So part of living in the village in Winona Lake is there's a beautiful, quaint village at Winona within walking distance that is full of shops and restaurants and coffee shops for students to enjoy. And so part of that tuition, room, and board actually includes $500 to spend at the village in Village Flex. So if you're running to class and you're like, oh, I am very tired and I don't want to go sit for 3 hours, you can just hop down to our favorite coffee shop down in the village, scan your student ID, and that pays for your coffee. And you have $500, which is pretty special. So that's our cost cost up front, but then we want to do a lot of things to help make that cost shrink little by little. And 100% of students at Grace this fall receive financial aid. So if you are on our campus, you are receiving some kind of a financial aid from Grace, including things that are based on need and based on performance. So part of the reason we ask for your high school GPA in that application is because all of our merit scholarships are based solely on high school GPA. And if you have a 4.0 or above, you will automatically receive $12,500 every single year that you come to Grace College. And something that's great about that is we know the transition from high school to college can be a little bit hard. So you will not lose money if your collegiate GPA falls below your high school GPA. So let's say you come in with a 3.8 from high school, maybe you slip down to a 3.2 that first semester, you're not going to lose any money for that. You will get the same amount of merit-based scholarship all 4 years if you're at Grace all 4 years or 3. Something else that is also really helpful about Grace is our Indiana low income tuition plan, or Indiana low income plan. So as students file the FAFSA that opens October 1st, your FAFSA is going to come out with a number that says AGI, adjusted gross income. If your family's AGI is $65,000 or less, Grace guarantees that we will just cover your tuition for you. It will be covered in grants and scholarships, not loans, so that you can use whatever other means you have available to you to cover room and board or other things associated with college. But we do guarantee to cover full tuition for low income students and for 21st century scholars. So that's a little bit about our financial aid, and then there's a lot more opportunities, but those are based on individual stories, but those are things that are available to everyone.
Well, that's great. That is, it's the sticker cost is always just so kind of out of this world, but then so many colleges just offer a ton to just take it down. So
yes. If you are a student intimidated by the sticker cost, I encourage you still apply and file that FAFSA and then see what it would actually look like. And I think you'll find that Grace is pretty competitive.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Alicia, last one. Anything we may have missed? Anything else that you think can kind of sell a student on coming to Grace? No pressure at all.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to remember about Grace College is that we are here to grow you as a holistic human being, but we also want to be respectful of your time and aware that we want to manage the costs within that. So if you are looking for something where you can get a high quality education, enhance your faith or grow in it, even if you don't have much of a faith when you come to Grace, and like make some responsible financial decisions, Grace can be that for you. You get a high quality education, an unparalleled campus experience being so close to Winona Lake and the trails and the nature that comes around us, and we do make it really affordable. So those are some of the things that we love about Grace, and we would love to have you come visit us. Go to grace.edu/visit or come check out any of our special visit days. We would love to have you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. Alicia Meyer, Director of Undergraduate Admissions at Grace College.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so good to be here.